The morning was gray and cold. Fog covered everything like a sad blanket. Thomas walked slowly through the iron gates of Riverside Cemetery, holding white lilies in his shaking hands. His son loved white lilies. His son loved chocolate ice cream, too, and dinosaurs, and the way raindrops raced down windows. But his son didn't love anything anymore. Not for 3 months now. Thomas's shoes crunched on the gravel path. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Each step felt heavy, like his legs were made of stone. Other people rushed past the cemetery gates outside, going to work, laughing, drinking coffee. The world kept spinning. But Thomas's world had stopped the day his boy took his last breath. Section C, row 7, he whispered to himself. He knew the way by heart now. He had walked this path every single week since the funeral. The tombstone was small and gray. On top was a photo of a smiling boy with messy brown hair and bright green eyes. The kind of eyes that sparkled when he laughed. The kind of eyes that closed forever in a white hospital bed. Danny Rivers. Bénouvette, age 8. Forever in our hearts. Thomas knelt down. His knees hit the wet grass with a soft thump. He placed the lilies carefully against a stone, right below Danny's smiling face. "Hey, buddy," Thomas whispered. His voice cracked. "I brought your favorite flowers again." The wind blew cold against his face. Somewhere far away, a bird sang, but Thomas didn't hear it. All he could hear was the memory of machines beeping in the hospital, the sound of doctors saying, "We did everything we could." The sound of his own voice breaking as he held Danny's small hand and felt it go cold. "I miss you so much," Thomas said, touching the photo with one finger. "Every single day I miss you." He closed his eyes, and in his mind he saw Danny running through their backyard, chasing butterflies, Danny building towers with blocks, Danny asking a million questions. Why is the sky blue? Where do stars sleep? Can dogs dream? "I promised you something, didn't I?" Thomas said softly. "In the hospital. You remember?" Of course Danny didn't answer, but Thomas remembered. He remembered every second of that terrible last day. Danny had opened his eyes one final time. His voice was barely a whisper. "Daddy, I am scared." "Don't be scared, buddy. I'm right here." Will you be okay without me?" Thomas's heart had shattered into a million pieces. "Don't talk like that. You're going to be fine." But they both knew the truth. Danny squeezed his father's hand with what little strength he had left. "Promise me something, Daddy." "Anything in the world." "Promise me?" Danny's breath was so soft, so gentle. "Promise me you won't be sad forever. Promise me you'll smile again." "I promise, buddy. I promise." "Good." Danny smiled. It was small and tired, but was real. "Because I'll never leave you alone, Daddy. Never. I promise, too." Those were the last words Danny ever said. Thomas opened his eyes. Tears ran down his cheeks and dripped onto the grass. "I'm trying to keep my promise, Danny," he whispered. "But it's so hard. Everything reminds me of you." He sat there for a long time, not moving. The fog grew thicker. The cemetery felt more and more alone. And then Thomas heard footsteps. Soft footsteps. Small footsteps. The sound of bare feet on wet grass. He froze. Who would be walking barefoot in a cemetery on a cold morning like this? The footsteps came closer and closer, and then they stopped right behind him. Thomas's heart began to pound. Slowly, very slowly, he turned his head, and what he saw made his blood turn to ice. A boy stood there. A boy with messy brown hair. A boy with bright green eyes. A boy wearing the same blue pajamas Danny had worn in the hospital. The boy was holding white lilies. Thomas couldn't breathe. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. Because the boy looked exactly like Danny. No, it wasn't just that he looked like Danny. It was Danny. Every detail. Every freckle on his nose. Every curl in his hair. The little scar on his elbow from falling off his bike last summer. But that was impossible. Impossible. Danny was dead. Danny was buried right here. 6 feet under the ground Thomas was kneeling on. The boy didn't look at Thomas. He walked slowly toward the grave. His feet left small wet prints on the grass. His knees were dusty and scraped, like he'd been running and playing. Thomas's mind screamed at him. You're imagining this. You're going crazy. Grief has broken your brain. But the boy looked so real. The boy knelt down, just like Thomas had. He placed his lilies next to the ones Thomas had brought. His small fingers touched the tombstone gently, lovingly, and then the boy spoke. "Hi, Dad," the boy whispered. "I miss you." Thomas's whole body shook. His heart felt like it would explode. He wanted to scream. He wanted to run. He wanted to reach out and grab the boy and never let go. But fear held him frozen. Because what if he was going crazy? What if this was a dream? What if he reached out and the boy disappeared like smoke? So instead, Thomas did something he never thought he would do. He hid. He crawled backward, slowly, quietly, until he was behind a large stone tomb. He pressed his back against the cold stone and peeked around the edge. The boy was still there, still real, still touching the grave, still looking exactly like the son Thomas had buried 3 months ago. What is happening? Thomas thought. What is this? The boy began to cry. Small, quiet tears that rolled down his cheeks. And Thomas watched, hidden in the shadows, his mind torn between hope and terror. Was this a miracle? Or was this the moment he finally lost his mind forever? Thomas pressed his back harder against the cold stone tomb. His heart hammered, so loud he was sure the boy would hear it. But the boy didn't turn around. He just knelt there at Danny's grave, touching the tombstone with both hands. The boy's shoulders shook. He was crying harder now. "I wish you could hear me," the boy whispered. "I have so much to tell you." Thomas squeezed his eyes shut. This isn't real. This isn't real. You're losing your mind, Thomas. Grief has finally broken you. But when he opened his eyes, the boy was still there. The morning fog swirled around the small figure like dancing ghosts. The white lilies seemed to glow in the gray light. And the boy, the impossible, incredible boy, looked as solid and real as the stone Thomas was hiding behind. The boy wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Then he did something that made Thomas's breath catch in his throat. The boy began arranging the lilies. Carefully, gently, just like Danny used to arrange his toy dinosaurs in perfect rows on his bedroom shelf. Left to right, tallest to shortest, everything in its special place. "There," the boy said softly. "Perfect. Just how you like things, Dad." Thomas's mind spun. How does he know? How does he know Danny always made things perfect? The boy sat back on his heels. His bare feet were dirty and scratched. His blue pajamas had a small hole in the knee, and on his right arm, Thomas leaned forward, squinting through the fog. On the boy's right arm was a bandage, a white medical bandage, right where the hospital had put Danny's for a line during those last terrible days. No, Thomas thought. No. This can't be happening. The boy looked up at the gray sky. His green eyes, Danny's eyes, searched the clouds like he was looking for something. "Are you watching me right now?" the boy asked the sky. "Can you see me from up there?" Thomas felt tears burning in his eyes again. How many times had he asked the same question? How many nights had he stood in his backyard, staring at the stars, wondering if Danny was somewhere beyond them? "The priest said you're in heaven," the boy continued, talking to the grave like it could answer back. "He said it's beautiful there. He said there's no pain, no sickness, no sadness." The boy's voice cracked. "But if it's so beautiful, why does it hurt so much down here?" Thomas covered his mouth with his hand to keep from sobbing out loud. Those were his words, his exact words. He'd said them to Danny's mother at the funeral. He'd screamed them at the sky on nights when the pain was too much to bear. How could this boy know those words? The boy reached into his pajama pocket and pulled something out. Even from his hiding spot, Thomas could see what it was. A small toy dinosaur. A green T-Rex with a missing arm. Danny's favorite toy. The one Thomas had buried with him. No, Thomas's mind screamed. That's impossible. That toy is in the coffin. Underground. This isn't real. This can't be real. But the boy held the dinosaur up to the light, turning it slowly in his small hands. "Remember when you gave this to me?" The boy said to the grave, "I was scared of the dark. I was only 5. You said this T-Rex was magic. You said he'd protect me from bad dreams." The boy hugged the dinosaur to his chest. "He did, Dad. He really did. Every single night." Thomas felt like the ground was disappearing beneath him. His whole body shook. His mind couldn't make sense of what he was seeing, what he was hearing. Then the boy did something that shattered Thomas's heart into even smaller pieces. The boy lay down on the grass, right on top of the grave. He pressed his cheek against the cold earth, like he was trying to hug it, like he was trying to hug the person buried below. "I miss you so much, Dad," the boy whispered into the ground. "I miss your voice. I miss your hugs. I miss the way you made pancakes on Sunday mornings. I miss everything." Thomas couldn't hold back anymore. A sob escaped his throat, just a small sound, but in the quiet cemetery it was loud. The boy's head snapped up. Thomas froze. His heart stopped beating. For one terrible, wonderful second, the boy's green eyes looked right at the stone tomb where Thomas was hiding. Those eyes, Danny's eyes, seemed to see right through the stone, right into Thomas's soul. "Dad," the boy whispered. Thomas held his breath. "Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't make a sound." But the boy didn't get up. He didn't come looking. Instead, he smiled. A small, sad smile that looked exactly like Danny's smile. "I know you're there," the boy said softly. "I can feel you. I always feel you." Thomas's eyes went wide. He knows? How does he know? The boy sat up and crossed his legs. He placed the toy dinosaur carefully on the tombstone, right next to the photo of Danny's smiling face. "You don't have to hide, Dad," the boy said. "I'm not scary. I promise." Thomas wanted to step out, wanted to run to the boy, wanted to grab him and hold him and never let go. But his legs wouldn't move. Fear and hope were fighting a war inside his chest. What if this is a trick? Thomas thought, what if I step out and he disappears? What if I'm really going crazy and there's no boy there at all? The boy seemed to understand. He didn't push. He just sat there waiting, patient. Then he began to talk again. But this time, his voice was different. Stronger, clearer, like he was telling Thomas a secret that was very important. In the hospital, the boy said, "You made me a promise. Do you remember?" Thomas's breath caught. "You promised you'd smile again. You promised you wouldn't be sad forever." The boy looked down at his hands. "But you haven't smiled, Dad. Not once. I've been watching." "Watching? What does that mean?" "Every week you come here. You bring lilies. You cry. You leave." The boy's voice was gentle but sad. "You're keeping half your promise. You remember me, but you forgot the other half. The smiling part." Thomas felt like someone had reached into his chest and grabbed his heart. "I made you a promise, too," the boy continued. "I promised I'd never leave you alone. And I haven't. I've been right here, Dad. Always. In the wind, in the sunshine, in the smell of flowers, in your dreams." The boy looked up at the sky again. "Love doesn't die, Dad. It just changes. It moves. It travels." As the boy spoke, something impossible happened. The white lilies began to glow, not bright like a light bulb, but soft, warm, like they had tiny stars inside them. The petals seemed to open wider, fuller, more alive than any flowers Thomas had ever seen. The fog around the grave shimmered. The cold morning air suddenly felt warmer, like someone had wrapped an invisible blanket around the cemetery. And the boy, the beautiful, impossible boy, looked up one more time. "I miss you, Dad," he said. Those 4 words hung in the air like music. And Thomas, hiding behind a stone tomb, felt something crack open inside his chest. Not breaking, but opening, like a door that had been locked for too long. He stood up. His legs were shaking. His whole body was trembling. But he stood up. He stepped out from behind the tomb. And the boy turned to look at him. Their eyes met, green eyes to green eyes, and the whole world seemed to hold its breath. "Hi, Daddy," the boy said, and smiled Danny's smile. Thomas took one step forward, then another, Then another. He couldn't stop the tears. Couldn't stop his hands from reaching out. Couldn't stop his heart from hoping, desperately, impossibly. "Danny?" Thomas whispered. Is it really you?" The boy looked up at Thomas with those bright green eyes. Those impossible, beautiful Danny eyes. "It's me, Daddy," the boy said softly. But also not exactly. Thomas took another shaky step forward. His whole body trembled. "I don't understand. How are you here?" The boy patted the grass next to him, just like Danny used to do when he wanted his dad to sit beside him for bedtime stories. Thomas's legs almost gave out as he walked to the grave. He felt his knees beside the boy. Up close, he could see everything. The freckles, the small scar, the exact shade of brown in his messy hair. Every detail was perfect. Every detail was Danny. "Love is magic, Daddy," the boy said. "Real magic, not the pretend kind in movies. When you love someone very, very much, that love doesn't just disappear when they go away. It stays. It grows. It becomes something new." "But you're... Thomas couldn't say the word. Couldn't say dead. Not while looking at this living, breathing boy beside him. "I'm in heaven," the boy said gently. "That part is true. And it's beautiful, Daddy. So beautiful. There's no pain there. No sickness. Just light and love and peace." The boy smiled. "But heaven isn't far away like people think. It's right here. Right beside you. Right inside every good memory, every kind thought, every moment you smile because of something I said or did." Thomas's tears fell faster. "Then why do I hurt so much? If you're so close, why does it feel like you're a million miles away?" The boy reached out and touched Thomas's hand. His fingers were warm, real, solid. "Because you stopped looking for me in the right places," the boy whispered. "You only look for me in sadness, in tears, in this grave." He squeezed Thomas's hand. "But I'm also in the sunshine that makes you feel warm. I'm in the songs birds sing. I'm in the smell of chocolate ice cream and fresh pancakes. I'm in every beautiful thing that makes you want to smile." Thomas stared at their joined hands. "I'm afraid," he admitted. "I'm afraid that if I smile, if I'm happy, it means I'm forgetting you. It means I'm leaving you behind." "Oh, Daddy." The boy's eyes filled with tears, but he was smiling too. "You could never forget me. And being happy doesn't mean leaving me behind. It means taking me with you into every good day, every laugh, every new adventure." The boy leaned his head against Thomas's shoulder. "That's what I want. I want to live in your smiles, not your tears." Thomas wrapped his arms around the boy and hugged him tight. He buried his face in that messy brown hair and breathed in. The boy smelled like flowers and fresh air and something else. Something that reminded Thomas of Danny's laugh, of summer days, of everything good and pure in the world. "I came to make sure you're okay, Daddy," the boy whispered. "Because you're not okay. Not yet, but you will be." "How do you know?" Thomas asked. "Because love is stronger than sadness. Always. It just takes time to remember that." They sat together for a long moment. The glowing lilies surrounded them. The warm air wrapped around them like a hug from the universe itself. Then Thomas heard footsteps again. He looked up and saw an old woman walking slowly down the path. She wore a long black coat and carried a single red rose. When she saw Thomas and the boy, she stopped. Her wrinkled face broke into a gentle smile. "You can see him too?" she asked Thomas. Thomas blinked. You can see him?" The old woman nodded. She walked closer, her steps careful on the wet grass. "I see him every year, on the anniversary. He comes to visit the grave." She looked at the boy with kind eyes. "My grandson is buried 3 rows over. On his birthday each year, I see him playing near his tombstone, just for a little while, just long enough to know he's okay." Thomas's heart raced. "So I'm not crazy? This is real." "As real as love itself," the old woman said. She placed a red rose on a nearby grave, then turned back to them. "Some people call them miracles. Some call them angels. Some call them impossible." She smiled. "I just call them proof. Proof that love is the strongest force in all of creation. Stronger than death. Stronger than time. Stronger than anything. The boy squeezed Thomas's hand one more time. See, Daddy? You're not alone. Other people know the truth, too. Love never ends. It just changes shape. The old woman bowed her head respectfully and walked away, leaving Thomas and the boy alone again. I have to go soon, the boy said quietly. This visit, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of love. I can't stay long. No. Thomas grabbed the boy's shoulders. Please, don't go. Not yet. I just found you. I can't lose you again. You're not losing me, Daddy. You never lost me. The boy touched Thomas's chest, right over his heart. I live here now, forever. And every time you remember me with a smile instead of tears, I get stronger. Every time you do something good because of what I taught you, I'm right there with you. Every time you help someone or love someone or choose happiness, you're keeping your promise to me. Thomas closed his eyes. Tears streamed down his face. But for the first time in 3 months, they weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of something else. Something that felt almost like hope. What should I do? Thomas whispered. How do I live without you? You don't live without me. You live with me. Differently. The boy's voice was starting to fade just a little. Take care of the lilies. Let them remind you that beautiful things can grow even in sad places. Smile when you think of me. Tell people about the funny things I said and the games we played. Make pancakes on Sunday mornings. Watch the stars. Chase butterflies. The boy's form began to shimmer like light through glass. And most importantly, Daddy, be happy. For both of us. Because happiness is how you keep me alive. I promise, Thomas said, his voice breaking. I promise I'll try. That's all I ask. The boy began to fade more, becoming transparent like morning mist. But his smile remained bright and real. I love you, Daddy. Forever and always, across any distance, through any darkness. Love that's strong never dies. I love you too, buddy. So much. The boy's final words floated on the air like music. Then I'll never really be gone. And then he faded completely, leaving only the glowing white lilies and the warm feeling in Thomas's heart. Thomas sat there for a long time, not moving. The fog began to lift. Sunlight broke through the clouds, touching the cemetery with golden light. And for the first time since Danny died, Thomas felt something new stirring in his chest. Peace. Not happiness yet, not complete healing, but peace, the kind that comes from knowing something true and beautiful and eternal. That evening, Thomas went home and found his old notebook. He sat at the kitchen table and began to write. Dear Danny, he wrote, today I saw you. I held you. I heard your voice. And you were right about everything. Love doesn't end. It just changes. It moves. It travels. I promise I'll take care of your lilies. I promise I'll smile when I think of you. I promise I'll make pancakes on Sundays and watch for butterflies in the garden. I promise I'll live the way you'd want me to, with hope, with joy, with love. Because you're not in that grave. You're in my heart. You're in every sunrise. You're in every kind thing I do. You're in every moment of happiness I choose. Thank you for visiting me today, buddy. Thank you for reminding me that goodbye isn't forever when love is strong enough to travel through grace. I'll see you in the sunshine. I'll feel you in the wind. I'll find you in every beautiful thing. Until we meet again, my beautiful boy, your loving Daddy. Thomas folded the letter and placed it in a special box along with Danny's toy dinosaur, his favorite books, and photos of them together. He kept the box on his nightstand. Every night before sleep, he'd open it and remember not with tears, but with smiles. The weeks passed, then months. Thomas visited the grave every week, but now he brought stories instead of just tears. He told Danny about the butterflies in the garden, about the sunrise that painted the sky pink and gold, about the little girl at the grocery store who reminded him of Danny's laugh. And the lilies grew. They multiplied and spread across the grave, more beautiful than any flowers in the cemetery. Other people noticed. They'd stop and stare at the glowing white blooms and feel warmth in their hearts, even if they didn't know why. One night, Thomas finally slept through until morning for the first time in months. No nightmares, no waking in tears, just deep, peaceful rest. When he woke, sunlight streamed through his window. Birds sang outside. The world felt lighter, brighter, almost holy. And in that moment, Thomas felt it. A gentle touch on his shoulder, a whisper in his heart, a presence that felt like home. Danny was there, not in body, but in spirit, in love, in the promise that some bonds can never be broken. Thomas smiled, a real smile, the first genuine smile since Danny had died. "Good morning, buddy," he whispered to the sunlight. "I kept my promise. I'm living. I am smiling. I'm carrying you with me." And somewhere, in that space between heaven and earth, a little boy with messy brown hair and bright green eyes smiled back. Because love that's strong never dies. It just learns to travel through grace. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Stories of love and hope are meant to be shared. Pass this message of eternal love to someone who needs to hear it today. Because we all carry people in our hearts who have traveled beyond. And they're all whispering the same message. Be happy. Smile. Live. That's how you keep us alive. Share this story and spread the light.